welcome to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, real talk, real solutions. The podcast where we cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of living with Hashimoto's. My name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, your host, and I'm here to share my expertise, personal insights, and from time to time, conversations with incredible guests to help you take control of your health. Together, we'll explore actionable items, debunk myths, and navigate the complexities of your thyroid health. So whether you're newly diagnosed or a seasoned warrior, this is your space for unfiltered truth and real hope. Let's dive in. Let's dig in today. The question I probably get the most often, and you can see like the topic obviously on this post, on this live stream today, and I get this question all the time. And I've polled you guys. It's like, hey, what do you need to know? Like, what information do you want from me? Like, what do you need to know? And this usually always comes out on top is, okay, listen, I understand I have Hashimoto's. Like, I've been diagnosed. I've been doing some research, or you've been in this group for a while, and you're like, I understand that I need to figure out what are my underlying root causes. What are the things that are causing my immune system to attack me? But I don't know what they are. I don't know how to figure them out. I don't know how to treat them, even if I did know what they are. So help me do that. And that's what I do, because that's what we have to do. That's correct. I know how to do all those things. We're going to go over it today, with the caveat that there is no cookie cutter approach here, gang. Okay, when we're doing treatments, hi Lynn, hi Paula. When we're treating someone individually, that's what it means. We treat them and we evaluate their case and devise a treatment plan for them individually. There is no cookie cutter approach here. There is no magic formula for figuring out someone's root causes. It's not the same for everybody, and there's no magic supplement for it. There's no magic test for it. There's no magic anything for it. It comes down to, here's this person. We got to figure them out. That's what I do with my patients. It's like, we don't even, people, I had this talk with someone earlier today. I'm like, people are like, hey, we're meeting for our consultation next Tuesday. Is it okay if I send you my labs ahead of time, my previous blood work ahead of time? I'm like, yeah, sure, send it over. Most of the time, I don't even look at it, to be honest with you. Like, I'll make sure I got it and it came through okay. And I might glance at it, but a lot of times I don't even look at it, because we're treating people here. We're not treating tests. We're not treating lab results. We're not treating a diagnosis that this person has. We're treating this person with these lab tests and with this diagnosis. So I don't want testing or diagnostics a lot of times to cloud my vision or my clinical intellect, if that makes sense, or clinical instincts. So people will send me their labs and be like, yeah, cool, send them over. And I won't look at them really. We'll have a consultation. We'll sit there for 15, 20, 30 minutes maybe. And I'll be like, tell me, what's going on? Like, how can I help? Lay it on me. What's the story? And I just listen, I take notes. I have questions. People can ask me questions. I want to already have my wheels turning. Like, okay, here's where I think we need to go with this person to figure this out and to get this handled. Then after that consultation, look at their labs, meet with them and follow up. Okay, here's what I would recommend for you personally, and here's how I'll help you do it. So just take that, my long-winded, like, take everything today with a grain of salt. This is like the 30,000 foot view. I don't think planes go to 50,000 feet, but this is your bird's eye view of like, what are root causes? How do we look for them? And then how do we treat them when we find them? Okay, I'm going to kind of go through them one by one. And if you guys have questions on this, just pop them in the comment section. All right, let's go. As soon as we're done here, we'll do questions. All right, root causes. Take some notes. If you guys got a pen and paper, take some notes. You can go back and watch this recording, obviously, but I'm just going to kind of run through the big ones that we look for and the ones that are usually a problem that we got to deal with. Number one, foods. Right? This is where a lot of people start. They're like, I know I have foods that I'm reacting to. I have allergies, sensitivities to foods. I know I need to change my diet. But again, I don't know where to start. I don't know what foods to eat. I don't know what foods not to eat. So foods is obviously a trigger. Yes. Inflammatory foods, foods that cause leaky gut, foods that people have sensitivities or reactions or allergies to. Have to figure those out. There's only two ways to do it. I have one that I prefer, but I do both depending on the person, okay? Obviously, you can test, right? You can do food sensitivity testing. You can run tests on people, blood tests, to see if they have reactions to certain foods. That's number one. Number two is an elimination reintroduction dietary protocol. That's the one I favor. It's the one I do most of the time, but I will run, depending on the person, even if we're doing an elimination of foods in the beginning, I still may run testing on them to help clear things up on how we're going to eliminate, reintroduce foods on the back end. But either way, we have to figure out what foods are a problem. If we're testing, there we go. If we're eliminating, we should take all these foods out, and then we're going to one by one put them back in, and we're going to look for reactions. Okay. We take them out and we clean house, like we supplement a little bit to like get everyone healed up. They're feeling significantly improved. So when we go to put them back in, if they're going to have reactions, we'll know it. So we monitor that very closely so that by the time we get 2-3 months down the road with somebody as far as treatment, we've taken foods out, we've put them back in, or we've tested, we've figured out, okay, these foods have to stay out because that didn't go well. These foods can go back in so we can build up a long-term plan, right, for them, a dietary plan that's going to keep them healthy and keep them in remission. So foods is one, obviously, right? Leaky gut. Right? Leaky gut. You guys have heard of it. Everybody has it. I'll be honest with you. You can test for this as well. There's tests for all this stuff. It doesn't mean you need to test for it. We'll talk about testing in a sec because I run into way too many of you that have been to functional medicine doctors and had thousands of dollars of testing done and nothing was ever acted upon based on those results, or the doctors who ran the darn test didn't even know how to interpret the results. So you got nothing out of that except, money spent for no help. So it's not always about thousands of dollars in testing. That's why I individualize everything. I don't do all these tests on everybody. It's like, okay, I think we got to do this one with you and this one with you. We got to do that one with you and this one with, you know what I mean? So it's got to be individualized. So leaky gut. And again, it's experience, gang. Like I've done this 10 ways to Sunday. Someone would hit my door. I'd start working with them. I'm like, we're doing all those 5, 6, 7 tests and we're spending $2,000 before we even get to work on treatment. I've done that. I found that not to be necessary. There's a lot of doctors out there still doing that. You guys know this. It's just experience. It's not needed. There are some that are needed, but that kind of approach is not needed. That's like the medical doctors doing the same thing. They run a bunch of tests and treat the tests with supplements, or like, let's throw something against a wall and hope it sticks. So leaky gut, huge, right? Leaky gut. Now, listen, I used to test everybody for leaky gut for years. Guess what? I can't think of anyone on a test that started working with me that didn't have it. So I don't test anybody for it anymore, ever. I tell them, you have it. Let's just treat it. Let's build into our protocols some dietary work, some nutritional work that's going to help heal your gut. But it's there. You can test for it. It's kind of a waste of time or money, to be honest with you, in my opinion. It's there. Let's just fix it. So leaky gut. Nutritional deficiencies. Some of these are easily identified on blood, right? So I hope you guys are taking notes. Foods, leaky gut, nutritional deficiencies. Some of these are easily seen on blood, right? Like vitamin D deficiency or iron anemias, right? Like iron deficiency anemias. So some of these are seen on regular blood tests. Outside of that, there are many options. Testing. You can do hair sampling. You can do blood testing. Blood testing, there's a couple different options. There's like whole blood. There's micronutrient testing, which looks at the nutrients inside of the red blood cells. Hair samples, right, where you can get a profile of someone's nutrients. Again, for some people, I have done all of these and some of these over the years. Some people I do them. A lot of people I don't right out of the chute because we do our initial dietary and our supplementation. We clean stuff up and they get better and we don't have to worry about it. We achieve it through diet, right? Replenish anything that is maybe lacking through diet and or testing that we might have to do, like a Dutch test. You guys have heard me talk about a Dutch test. We'll get to that one next, actually, which looks at nutrient deficiencies and organic acids and that kind of stuff. So nutrient deficiencies, you test. There's multiple blood tests depending on what we want to accomplish, and hair. Number 4, hormone imbalances. Super common, right? Autoimmune disease in general, Hashimoto's for sure, much more common in women, females, by a long shot, landslide, because there's usually some type of hormonal component. It also gets diagnosed, or someone becomes symptomatic surrounding a major hormonal event like puberty, childbirth, menopause. Or they have it and it gets significantly worse around one of those times and never comes back, right? We don't get that toothpaste back in the tube. So hormone imbalances. Now, when I say hormone imbalances, people think sex hormones. Yes, of course, we want to look at those. We're also talking about adrenal hormones, though, which we'll get to the next one as well, next root cause, adrenal imbalances. I love the Dutch test. I do this on almost everyone, to be honest with you. There's not many tests that I like to do on darn near everyone. That's one of them. Okay. I love the Dutch test. It looks at all that stuff. It looks at hormones, looks at adrenals, and it looks at something called organic acids all on one. It's like 3 tests in one. That's why I love it. So it looks at nutritional imbalances. It looks at mitochondrial problems. It looks at oxidative stress issues. That's like cellular inflammatory markers. That it looks at neurotransmitters. So we look at a lot of different stuff on a Dutch test, which is why I like it. Okay, but hormones is a big one. And then next root cause down, right? So that's number 4. I got them here in front of me in my notes. So number 5, if you're taking notes, is stress. Stress. I don't know. Everyone's watching this going, yes, yes, because either a significant stressful event or chronic stress has contributed to the development of someone's Hashimoto's on some level, and or they can no longer deal with stress. Like stress like just blows me up. It's led up to this, and now every time I get stressed, it's like gasoline on a fire. Now this plays in with the adrenals as well, right? Because the adrenal glands is our endocrine system's response to stress through a hormone called cortisol. So we got to see if the adrenals are all whacked out, which they usually are. Again, all that on a Dutch test. That one test looks at a bunch of these different root causes. That's why I love it. So we got foods, leaky gut, nutritional deficiencies, hormones, stress. It's getting complicated, isn't it? This is why there's no magic bullet, gang. There's no cookie cutter. Because any or all of these things could be contributing to someone's condition. And we have to evaluate it as such. Next one, number 6, if you're counting at home, chronic infections. Antigens. Now, the next 2, we're going to talk about antigens. These are environmental antigens. Antigens is something that you get exposed to or that gets inside your body that aggravates your immune system. Your immune system has to respond to, right? Chronic viruses, bacteria, candida, right? So like chronic infectious stuff. Those are the big ones. We're talking Epstein-Barr. We're talking COVID. We're talking things like Lyme disease. Depends on where you live for that one, of course. We're talking things like herpes viruses, cytomegalovirus. There's a lot of different viruses out there. And then we're talking about things like fungi, like candida, okay, which is usually a secondary infection because you can't get infected with candida if everything else is working well. It's really hard to get a candida infection if your gut's functioning properly, your biome is regulated and balanced. It's really hard to get candida. Candida is like an opportunistic infection. Same thing with parasites. They come in and set up shop when the environment is ripe for them to come in and set up shop. If everything's hunky-dory, your gut's good, your immune system's humming, you're nice and healthy, it's really hard to get candida or parasites. They're opportunistic. But chronic infections, how do we test for these things, right? Blood, for the most part. Now, there's specialty blood tests. You can see an Epstein-Barr reactivation. You can see COVID, obviously. But there might be specialty tests that we have to do for like Lyme or some of these other viruses, candida. There's specialty testing that we have to do for this. So these are all blood primarily, but they might not be like traditional labs that you can get done at like Quest or LabCorp or something like that. So chronic infections. Some people already know this. They come to me already knowing, hey, I got Epstein-Barr. I had it checked. Or I got Lyme or whatever. I have someone I'm working with right now. It's like 3 of them. I think it was cytomegalovirus, a herpes virus or 2, and Epstein-Barr. And again, these viruses are very common, and we all have them. I had mononucleosis in college. I have the Epstein-Barr virus in my body, but it's dormant. It hasn't been reactivated. It's not causing any trouble. We've all had chickenpox. That's a virus. It's a herpes virus. If you had chickenpox, you still have it. Some people get shingles later in life, and some people don't. Same virus. So huge. The other antigen would be environmental toxins. So we have 2 kind of classes of antigens, if you will. Infectious stuff and environmental stuff. Okay. So we talk about toxins. We talk about heavy metals. We talk about pesticides, right? That's why on our foods, it's huge to be organic and wash them like real good. And chemicals, right? Household chemicals and like things we're putting on our skin and on our bodies. And don't get me started. I got 2 young girls and one of them, the youngest one, oh, it's brutal. If any of you guys have young girls, it's brutal with the skincare stuff and the TikTok and she doesn't even have TikTok. I don't even know where she gets all this stuff from, but all these girls nowadays with their skincare. Drives me nuts. Got to really rein that one in. Anyway, so toxins, like environmental toxins, things that we get exposed to either by accident or on purpose that we need to limit. So those are the two types of antigens that we talk about: infectious and environmental. So we got foods, leaky gut, nutritional deficiencies, hormone imbalances, stress, antigen stuff, infections, and toxins. Last one, the big one, genetics, right? DNA. We can't change those, but many times we need to look at them. Two tests that I run on most people, Dutch and DNA. Now, with DNA, what I have my patients do, and I wouldn't advise doing this unless you have someone like myself who knows what the heck to do with the data. I have my patients do Ancestry.com, 23andMe, it doesn't matter. Okay, I have them go do one of those tests. Cheap as heck for the data, $99 max. It's usually on sale, but those tests, $99 max. We do the test. When the results come in, those tests, they do DNA testing on everybody. They do a full genetic panel, full genetic test on everybody who does one of those tests. I've done one. They have my genetics too. Now, when those test results come in, they don't tell you this. They're not allowed to tell you this. The government doesn't let them tell you this. But when you do those tests, you get a full DNA panel on everybody. That raw genetic data you can get access to. You have to go in your account, click, find a little back door, request the data. They give you a download of the data. It's a zip file. It's a huge file of data because it's all your DNA. I can take that information. Again, I'm 1% or probably less than 1% of docs that even knows how to do this. But I can take the data, filter out the stuff we don't need, like genes for eye color, and look at medically relevant data. I'll use this one for an example because many of you have heard of this one. Something like an MTHFR mutation. So it's a genetic mutation, MTHFR. And these tests are done at home. It's like saliva tests. You spit in the tube, you send it back. They'll be like, hey, you're half German. And then whatever. But then that means the DNA is available and ready for us to download. So we can look at something like an MTHFR mutation. Then we look at a ton of other stuff. That's not the only one. But we can look at that to be able to say, hey, does this person have some kind of genetic mutation that's causing X, Y, and Z problem? MTHFR, for example, is a problem with something called methylation. And it causes specific vitamin deficiencies, primarily B vitamins, B9, B12, can cause problems with things like magnesium and different nutrients. So you can have a genetic mutation that is the cause of those nutritional deficiencies that we talked about earlier. So we can give you nutrition till the cows come home. It might not work well because you might not be able to utilize that nutrition because you have this genetic mutation, and the genes make the enzymes, and you don't make the enzymes very well to be able to break down and metabolize foods or these nutrients, whether they're in foods or supplements. So DNA is like the final frontier. Again, we can't change those things, but we many times need to look for them so that way we can identify them and then we can deal with them. How do we get around this roadblock, right? So there you have it. Everybody's always asking, what are the root causes? How do you check for them? Foods. You can test, or you can do elimination reintroduction diet. Leaky gut. You can test. You got it. Trust me. Unless you're working with me and it's fixed. Nutritional deficiencies. You can test. Blood, hair, there's a lot of different ones out there. You can test for all this stuff. Do you need to? Not necessarily in my book. Hormone imbalances. Dutch. Love it. Hormones and adrenals and organic acids. Dutch. It's an at-home test. It's urine, dried urine. Chronic infections. Now we're talking antigens. Chronic infections. Test. Blood. Sometimes specialized blood tests, but blood. Again, you got to know. You got to see a doc that knows how to look at all this stuff and knows even what to do about it, how to look for it, what to do when you find it, how do you treat it. Toxins, right? So now environmental toxins. So antigens, we have bugs, infectious stuff, environmental toxins. Okay, we can check for those in blood and hair as well. And then DNA. I do it at an at-home test, Ancestry, 23andMe, it's saliva. You spit in the thing. That's it, gang. There's your roster of triggers or root causes that need to be looked at usually and need to be evaluated. Not all of them, not all at the same time, but that's your list of things that could be looked at or could be a problem. Not as easy as fix the cell. Yes, we need to do that too, but we got to do this other stuff too. And that's a little tongue in cheek. I know some of you know what I'm talking about. A lot of people out there hawking miracle cures like take this magic supplement or fix the cell and you'll be magically healed. And it doesn't work like that, because I've seen plenty of you who've done that and you're still all not feeling well after going through that. And then I got to fix you. And that's okay. That's what I'm here for. I want to thank you for tuning in to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, Real Talk, Real Solutions. Again, my name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, and I hope today's episode helped to give you the tools and the insights you need to take another step forward on your Hashimoto's journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode if you think someone could benefit. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Dr. Ray Benedetto and on my website, drraybenedetto.com, for more resources and updates. Until next time, remember, you're not alone and real solutions are always within reach. Take care and be well.